Good evening, everyone. I'm Todd Thomas. Welcome to episode 9 of the Integrity Racing Show. My name's Todd Thomas. I'm the host tonight. Also, the most recent winner of the Integrity Racing Show here. So, welcome to episode 9. Just a little bit of fun that we're having on the show. We're going to talk you through a recap of the race that was at Michigan International Speedway. We're going to talk about the point standings, give everybody a quick update on the caution count. And then we're going to look at the Shane Ashmore Rookie of the Year. We're also going to discuss next week's show. Since next week is a bye week before we go to Sonoma, we'll do a quick discussion on what you're going to look forward to seeing on the show next week. So that's kind of the rundown of the events. But let's go ahead and start the show with the discussion from this past Monday's race at Michigan International Speedway. As you can see there, and we've kind of boasted a little bit and had a little bit of fun with it. Todd Thomas is your winner. Takes a win for him. Andrew Fayash nipping at his heels, almost gets by him at the start-finish line out of turn 4 on the last lap. He finishes second. Jacob Fife. So the three guys on the show tonight finished 1, 2, 3. That's pretty cool to see. Drew Carroll finishes 4th, and then Guillermo Alvarez rounds out your top 5. So, Andrew, you were somebody that was up front pretty much the whole day, kind of jostling back and forth throughout the race. Kind of talk us through your race and what your thoughts were from your Michigan experience.
I hate to start off by correcting you, but you sorted by points there. Jacob finished 4th. Drew Carroll was 3rd.
My apologies.
It's all good, but it's part of talking about the race though anyway, because I mean it was a long, grueling night. It was tough to pass unless we would get a long run and the tires would fall off, and I was hoping for the long runs because that's usually my forte, I guess, when it comes to sim racing, is taking care of the tires while keeping a decent pace. And we had a couple. They were long enough for tire wear to just start to come into play, but they were a little too short for it to make a big difference, I think, right at the end. And I was just trying to keep the pressure on you, hoping you'd make a mistake, while Drew was keeping the pressure on me, so I couldn't really try too many weird different lines without just getting into a battle for second. So I tried.
Yeah, and it was a great race, and we had a good number of long runs. We were able to get a pit stop in. I think a green flag pit stop in. Caution kind of fell right as people were starting to come in right in the middle of that cycle, and that's one of the things that fell to my advantage. And then we got an 18-lap run to finish, and I think you, myself, and Drew Carroll, 1, 2, 3. I think we're all just trying, and I was just happened to be up front in the clean air and was able to hold on. So Jacob, Andrew did correct me there. You finished 4th, so you were right on our heels as well. So a good race, only 3 cautions from a league admin standpoint. That's got to be a good thing. And then you got a good finish as well with the top 5 and 4th place.
Yeah, I was right with you there for the last stint. And I made one little mistake, probably with I think like 5 to go or so, and I just couldn't catch it back up after that. I thought something might happen with a couple laps to go between yourself and Andrew, but y'all kept it clean, much to your credit. And like I said, it was a great race overall from a league admin standpoint, so I'm really happy about that. Hopefully, this is the type of racing we'll have in the weeks to come. As we head into Sonoma and the races after that.
So really quickly, let's finish up our recap from Michigan International Speedway. Again, there, you see the top 5 there. 3 cautions, only 13 laps, 7 different lead changes throughout the race. Our pole sitter, Guillermo Alvarez, finishes in 5th. A good race for Guillermo to get a good finish. William Dunn finishes in 6th. T.J. Thompson 7th. Colton Landis gets a good finish at 8th. Carlos Fonseca has a pretty tremendous last lap to finish 9th. Cody Smith finishes 10th, and then Tyler Herr falls back to 11th. So that kind of finishes up our Michigan discussion. A good race for Michigan International Speedway. We hope to see more races just like that. So we did mention from a league administrator's perspective, not a whole lot of issues, only 3 cautions. But I believe there might be at least 1 penalty coming from Michigan. So, Jacob, why don't you run us through that?
There's one thing we're taking a look at. Quite honestly, I haven't had time this week to fully have it taken care of. But there's one blocking penalty we're taking a look at that happened towards the end of the race that we'll have to put a decision out here in the next day or two. But other than that, like I said, it was a fairly good race and clean racing throughout. And everybody was able to give room and do what they needed to do and keep the fenders on it. So all in all, I think everybody was pretty happy with the way things went at Michigan.
Absolutely. We want to see more racing just like that. And one of the things that we've got to look forward to is it is an off week, so everybody's able to kind of take a deep breath and relax a little bit before we head to one of the toughest tracks on the circuit for everybody to come up with at Sonoma. We'll talk about Sonoma towards the end of the show, but one of the good things about Sonoma is there is no caution, so nobody's got to worry about anything from that end. Next week, we want to go ahead and update you guys. Since next week is an off week, we're not going to have anything to recap. So we kind of discussed this a little bit last week, but next week's show will be dedicated, which will be episode 10. It will be dedicated to a question-answer episode where you can ask Jacob, our league administrator, any of the questions that you might have. Want to quickly go over how do you submit questions. Just submit those to me. They will be confidential. I'll know who they were, but I'm not going to tell Jacob who asked that particular question. That's the complete truth there. I'm not going to spoil that for him. And he's not going to get the questions in advance either. He will get them on the spot. The only thing that I might do is editorialize them to clean up some language if there's any poor language or anything like that. You can submit those any number of ways. Facebook Messenger is probably the best. It's the easiest for most of you to reach me. Also, I'll be posting my email address on the Integrity Racing League Facebook page in the coming days so that if you need to contact me for any questions that you have for Jacob next week, you can do that. So hope to get a lot of questions. Hope to have a good show. And it's an opportunity for you, the members, to really kind of speak and have your wishes known. So that's what we're looking forward to next week. Jacob, what are your thoughts on the question and answer show? What do you hope to see, and how do you think that's going to go?
Looking forward to it. I expect to see a variety of questions, honestly. Like I said, you can ask any questions about the league you want to, but it doesn't have to be limited to the league. It could be about me personally. You know how I got into iRacing, what I do, and what little spare time I have. It could be pretty much. I'm an open book, so submit your questions to Todd, and like I said last week, I might be putting a little bit of a target on my back, but hey, I can handle it. I'm a big boy, so just submit your questions to Todd, and I'll be happy to answer them next week. Should be a fun show.
All right, and one of the things that kind of just happened spur of the moment as we were kind of laughing as we got ready for the show at I'm poking fun of myself a little bit here with the balloon and everything, was that these other guys started bringing out their trophies. They're kind of accomplished guys, not just in the iRacing world, but in their personal lives as well. So one of the things we wanted to do really quickly for a little bit of fun was a trophy presentation. So Andrew, why don't you kind of run us through some of the trophies that you've accumulated over the years and that you're pretty proud of?
All right, well, the first one is over my shoulder, sitting way back there. That's for the Nordtona 500 this year, which was kind of funny because I wasn't even going to run the race. A lot of my teammates were, and I kind of just, they had an opening last minute, and I showed up and ended up winning it. And that trophy is awesome. I think it's the biggest one I've got so far. But I do have quite a few semi-recent Integrity Racing League championship trophies. This one for the Truck Series in 2015. This one for the Cup Series in 2015 as well. And an ITZR Nationwide Season 5 Fixed Series trophy, which ITZR owes me about 3 more. Jeff By Jr. owes me about 3 more to be specific. And there's also, I won 3 championships in the 1 week. I forget what the series was called. It was at New Smyrna. It was a week-long crazy series. They had all different cars and things there, and I won a few championships in the same week because they had a lot going on. But I never got those either, so we'll just have to see if they show up or not. They got the info, but it is what it is.
All right, and Jacob, you were kind of showing off your trophy collection, some things you've accumulated over the years that were pretty sweet. So kind of show us those and what you got over there.
Well, first of all, I want to say I'm glad to see that my dollars and our sponsorship dollars are hard at work on Andrew's trophy case. But I do have my own Integrity League trophy. We'll put that up there. There we go. Yeah, that's the Nationwide Series from a couple years back. It's amazing how when Andrew shows up, I don't get any trophies anymore. And then I kind of strange off into some golf stuff. So we got a little trophy here for a softball charity tournament Captain's Choice deal. So we have that, and I didn't have enough time to get all the participation trophies, but let's see. This is for 4-H. So there we go. Nice. Yeah, that's nice there. I'll hold it back far enough so you can't see what place it was for. And this is really done to make sure Todd can stay on the proper level and stay humble, because it's we don't want success to get to his head. And then this is another golf one, this is the longest drive, and on that one, so yeah, I got a few of my own, and hopefully we'll get a couple more here for it's all said and done. And so what do you have, Todd?
Well, I've led such an accomplished life. It's hard for me to keep all the trophies in one place. But to be completely serious, all of my trophies from when I was growing up and playing sports as a kid are actually at my old house where I grew up, which is in Savannah, Georgia, and the trophies that I've kind of accumulated for officiating or stuff like that are actually in my office. So don't actually have any trophies in this house. I might actually have to go and buy me a Michigan 200 trophy and put that up somewhere. It'll be like Michael Scott who bought himself, the Boss of the Year mug or whatever. So, but I've played a little sports, played some baseball growing up, some golf. Not really a great athlete, but I've had some decent experience. So, next we want to do a quick interview with our defending league champions. It's kind of amazing that we've got 9 episodes without having probably the most accomplished driver in the Integrity Racing League. For the last couple of years, Andrew Fayash on the show. So Andrew, you are somebody that's in the Pro Series, and so let's talk about that a little bit. You just got into the Pro Series, I believe, in the last couple of years, and what kind of success have you been having, and what goals have you set for yourself at the pro level?
Actually, I've been in the Pro and Pass Series since it started. I've made every season.
I'm new to iRacing, so
that's
I don't really know all that
That's
stuff.
totally cool. I wouldn't doubt that a lot of the people watching the show are also pretty new to iRacing. But I've been a part of the series since it started. I think my best points finish out of every season I think was like 23rd or something. So I'm not great, but I'm not terrible. But this season we've been doing great. I got my first Pro Series win during the Pro season last winter, not NPAS, not the Peak Series. But I got a win at Richmond, and that was a great confidence booster for the whole team. And this year we've been running between, we've had like a 10th to 20th place car every week, and that's where we've been finishing. We've been staying out of trouble, and I believe I'm 10th in points right now, or 9th or something like that, with an average finish of about 15th. So, just being consistent and going forward really. We got a few things shaking up the team in a good way right about now, and we're looking to improve the finishing average, a few more spots as the season goes on, get some solid top 10s and maybe a couple top 5s in there too.
All right, and for somebody that's maybe looking at maybe going and trying to get that pro status, what would you say is, for kind of a two-part question, one, what is the one thing that you would tell them that they need to do to try to reach that level? And two, kind of talk us, what do you notice is the major differences between running, let's say, at the pro level versus the open servers on the iRacing side? Is it the talent level? Is it the intensity of the racing? What would you say is the biggest difference between those two types of racing?
Well, the first part of your question was about advice to getting to that level, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, main thing I would say is, obviously it's open setup, so being able to make good setups or have teammates that are good with adjusting the cars and things like that is extremely helpful. I'm not great with setups myself, so I wouldn't be I've actually competed with just the fixed setups for a couple of pro seasons previously, and it was tough. I was like 30th to 40th place car, on a good day. So it was that was a bit of a train wreck. But no, having good help or figuring out how to do setups on your own, focusing on whether you're good at that or not, focusing on your driving and just anything you can improve, not just in speed and your lines and things like that, but we like to call it racecraft on our team. I don't know if there's an official term for it, if that's it, but knowing when you should be racing aggressive, when you should be letting somebody go, which spots are more important and what whether the risk is worth the reward in the middle of a race. And I think that's really important to figure out and for everybody to work on in order to get to the pro level. The other thing, as far as the competition and the differences between pro and the open stuff, in A Open you could be a top 5 car, and if you're top 5 one week, you're probably going to be top 5 a lot of weeks, and you get that mindset of running up front and you get used to that, and then when you hit pro or end pass, you all of a sudden, tracks where you were top 5, you're now battling for 20th to 30th to whatever. The competition level's extremely tight. There's a few races this year where I was running back in about 20th, 25th, and I get a bit of clean track around me for a few laps, and my teammates are telling me I'm turning faster laps than the leader, who's also by himself. And it's like, but that's how tight the whole field is that just that track position alone can completely change where you end up at the end of the day.
Okay. We know that you're somebody, I've seen it on your Facebook page, you're somebody that's also drives a race car in real life, so you got that experience. So it's pretty obvious that racing is kind of in your blood and that you've been doing it for a while. So how'd you get started in racing and sim racing? Kind of tell us a little bit about how that all kind of shook up, because you're kind of a young guy to have accomplished as much as you have already.
Yeah, real racing, as far as that's concerned, it's been in my family. My grandfather raced years ago. My dad raced from, I think he started in 1984, I want to say, which was before I was born. I was born in 88. So I grew up around it, all the local dirt stuff. And I got started in that. I made a deal with my dad when I was 15, or no, when I was 16 rather, that we get a car in the off season and I could race it till I'm out of high school, as long as that fall after I graduated high school I went to college immediately. So that was the exchange. That was the deal I made with them. And I had 2 years where I very much was a rookie. I feel for both of them really. But once you get that taste of racing, it's in you forever. And as far as sim racing goes, I think I could thank my uncle Randy for introducing me into the simulation side of things when I was really young on NASCAR Racing 2. We used to play it every Friday night at his house. He'd run half the race, and then I'd show up and he'd go play poker with the family while I ran the second half of the race. So it was that was my intro to sim racing, and it just got addicted from there, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper than the real stuff.
Absolutely. So, and you mentioned that you do drive on a dirt track, and iRacing is bringing dirt to the service here in the next couple of builds. Maybe we don't really know if they've given us a firm timeline, and we're not really sure how good the dirt's going to be. But for somebody like me that has never driven on dirt, doesn't really know what to expect, what would you say is the biggest difference between driving? I know it's two totally different worlds, but driving on asphalt versus driving on dirt.
That's a good question, Todd. The main one is that the track's going to change as the nights go on a lot more. Like, I know we got rubber buildup and dynamic tracks and temperatures and all that stuff now, but the difference between how the track drives at the beginning of the race to the end, it changes a little bit, but it's not nearly as drastic as dirt racing is. I mean, dirt racing, you'll change your gear ratio from a heat race to a feature in the higher classes, and you know, you'll change your tires out depending on whether it's going to be, you know, whether it's a tacky wet track that you need a lot of tread for, or if it's a dry track where you just need to make sure the tire doesn't peel apart. I mean, it's a very different style of driving. Also, the main thing specifically to just how you drive the track is that you use your throttle to get the car into the corner and to initiate it into the turn, which is tough to do, obviously, in traffic, so you don't run people over. But that's the biggest difference. Whereas on asphalt, or you're trying to slow it down, you know, as you're entering, and there's a lot of coasting time and backing the car down. Whereas in dirt, you kind of throw it in on the throttle, and then you back it down, and then you get back in the throttle to you know, keep your momentum going and keep it sideways.
All right, so we want to thank Andrew for taking the time out of his night to join us on the show tonight, and hopefully everybody enjoyed hearing from Andrew about the experiences that he has and he's got throughout his life. And he's obviously the defending champion of the series and looks to be poised to maybe repeat and be a contender in the chase this year. So moving forward, speaking of the chase, let's go ahead and update us on the chase standings. Todd Thomas gets a victory and locks himself into the chase. As you can see there, I have a green dot beside my name. That means I've completed the minimum requirements, which is 14 races, and have won a race, meaning I would be locked in if the chase was to start today. So that's what that green dot denotes for anybody that hasn't seen that before. Again, thanks to Adam de Blasio, who does a terrific job putting this together each week. As you can see there throughout the standings, it looks like Cody Smith is currently the last person that would be in the chase if it started today. And then you see Brad Wren, Guillermo Alvarez, Nick Ward currently below that cut line. But still 11 races before the end of the chase. Anybody can go steal a win, or not even just steal one, out-drive everybody and get a win. You know, somebody like Brian Terry, who's currently 37th overall in points, got himself a win at Kansas. So as long as he competes in 4 more races, he'll be in the chase. So Jacob, looking at that, we've maybe seen a little bit of solidification. If you look at Adam de Blasio in 7th in points there, he's got a 48-point gap. So you're right above him. So you've got William Dunn, yourself, and Adam de Blasio with about a 48-point gap to the next 5 guys. Do you start to feel a little bit more comfortable about the position you're at with 11 races left to go before the chase breakdown?
Yeah, somewhat. As we get closer, and if I keep having consistent finishes like I did this past Monday night, for sure, I think I'll be pretty safe. But things can change quickly. You know, one person winning that's currently outside of that chase cut line and moves up, that automatically puts guys who once had a buffer. Then you have 4 or 5 guys within 5 points of each other, or 5 or 15 points, all battling right in the cut line. So it changes quickly. I think we mentioned it earlier in an earlier episode, but really at this point I'm hoping for people like Andrew, who's very good at it, to have multiple wins. The less new people that win, the safer I become, because I feel fairly decent in finishing up towards the front most races. So if I can limit my personal mistakes and then, you know, and contend where I can, obviously I want to win, but, you know, if I can hope that, you know, Andrew or yourself now, or maybe Tyler Herr, or one of the guys who've won already can win again, then that helps me as well.
All right, and now what you see on our screen is our current point standings, as without the wins or the chase or anything like that. This is just the overall point standings. I want to give a quick update on this. Brendan Burcroft is currently P20 in points. He's the last driver that currently has a locked-in position. So as we scroll down here, drivers like Alan Pajari, who's 27 points back. Chris Chitzler has had a couple of good races in a row. He's only 38 points back now of Burcroft. And then somebody like T.J. Thompson is 40 points back. So a lot of drivers that are currently, you know, trying to chase down that top 20 so that they would have a locked-in position in the point standings. And that might be big. Jacob, I don't know if you're really completely sure on what the locked-in situation is going to look like next year. Is that going to be based off of the top 20 in points, chase drivers? I know some things could change between the end of the year this year and next year, but what's kind of the thinking about what we might see for next year?
Yeah, I mean, if it was based off of what we did this year when we made the rule, would be basically your chase drivers +4 plus your emeritus 4. And those 4 drivers in the emeritus category, they're not going to change or be added to or subtracted from. So that'll stay consistent. So it's basically, if you make it in the chase, you get locked in for 4 or 5 races, somewhere in there, for next year, and then you have 4 additional guys, whoever are the top 4 in points at the end of the year would be locked in, and that would make your top 20 as we start the next season. But things could change. That's not completely set in stone, but that's the general direction we're probably going if things were to stay status quo as of now.
All right, and really quickly, let's go over the Shane Ashmore Rookie of the Year point standings. Adam de Blasio's got a full 20-point lead, which is a pretty big lead when you consider how this point breakdown works. Only the you only get points based off where the rookies finish, so nobody else really, the non-rookies don't really factor in here. So Adam de Blasio, a pretty strong hold on that title there with the 20-point lead. Time recorder in second. Brendan Burcroft is only 6 points back, and I know Brendan's had some connection issues the last couple of weeks that have really kind of derailed his season a little bit. So hopefully he gets those figured out before we get to Sonoma. Brad Wren in 4th and T.J. Thompson in 5th. Andrew, I don't know how much you've been able to. You're normally up towards the front, so maybe you haven't raced around these guys a whole lot. What have you noticed from the new drivers that have kind of joined the league this year, and have you been impressed with what you've seen out of those guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few that I got to know a little bit through the winter series that was hosted by I believe Alan Pajari was the host of that. I got to know Adam a bit and raced with Burcroft and Drew Carroll and them a bit more. But they're all very respectful and clean when it comes to straight up battling and on track stuff. The only thing I see is if I had to give any critique, I apologize for my cat, by the way, if his tail gets in the way of this shot. But the only advice I would give them is that sometimes it seems like they race really hard early or really hard for a single position that that is not the race lead. And I think they need to realize how long the races are and how much time they got to sort it out and really battle it out, and that it's that much more important to finish than it is to potentially wreck yourself over one spot, which they've been getting better at over time. So it's all good.
Yeah, and one of the things with the Rookie of the Year to keep in mind when you get further in and get past that 17 starts, then the points once it's your best positioning. So you have guys like Adam, who's raced every race, and I think he's had points in every race. That's going to really start to close the gap once Adam starts replacing races. It'll give guys who maybe are a couple races behind to kind of catch up and make that battle much tighter. So while Adam does enjoy a comfortable lead at the moment, by no means is that over. And that particular battle or award runs throughout the year. It doesn't reset during the chase or anything like that. So I'm definitely interested to see how that turns out as we move along into the year and once people start replacing races, because I think there's a lot of drivers in that battle who are talented enough to take it home.
So that'll be something to look forward to as we come down towards the end of the year. And so hopefully we have a quality Rookie of the Year points battle that a lot of people can enjoy. So really quickly, let's talk about Sonoma. On your screen is last year's results. Matt Busa, a dominating performance. We kind of talked about that with Nick Ward and Jacob last week. That Busa is probably going to be your favorite. If he's in the race, he's going to be your favorite at Sonoma. You can see only 3 drivers finished on the lead lap, but Jacob, you're one of them. So What do you think about Sonoma? What are your hopes? And it's going to be a tricky race for everybody.
Yeah, I don't know if me finishing second says a lot about my road course racing, or it says a lot about the rest of the field for that night. Like we said last week, obviously, if Busa shows up, I mean, he's pretty darn good there, as those results show. I think the real important thing with Sonoma is keeping it on the track and keeping all four fenders on it. If you do that, you'll really have a good chance to have a good finish. And it's just being consistent, keeping the tires on it because it's very slick at Sonoma, and then like I said, just being consistent as possible and playing strategy right, making sure you're pitting because the pit sequences there work a little bit differently. You kind of work the race in reverse. So it'll be interesting to see. You have an extra week to prepare for it. I'm sure there'll be practices up throughout the week leading to it for guys trying to get practice and kind of hone in their skills for the road course racing.
All right, Andrew, you weren't actually in the race last year. It looks like you're not on the results page. So what do you hope to see at Sonoma? Are you somebody that you think you can compete with Matt if he's in the race, or maybe get you another top 5 finish?
Busa's gonna be tough. I mean, no matter where you go, Busa's tough to compete with. But if he likes a place, then it's to a different degree. I'm looking forward to it. I love Sonoma. I've been in pro and in NPAS. We've been running Watkins Glen every season for the past few years. We've never run Sonoma, and it drives me nuts because I'm tired of Watkins Glen, so I'm looking forward to this race just to get a break from running just that one road course all the time. I love the track. I was sad to miss it last year, so I'm looking forward to it, but I don't know what to expect either because I haven't run it since the day the Gen 6 came out. I ran a session for fun that was hosted, and I think that's the last time I've turned laps there. So it'll be interesting. I don't think I'll have anything for Busa if he shows. But, maybe that practice time will be enough to catch up. We'll see.
All right, so that's going to complete our show this week. That's episode 9. Next week will be episode 10, the question and answer show. Again, be sure to get your questions into me on either Facebook or I'll be posting my email address. You can even hit me up on Twitter if you want, at the Braves Way on Twitter. But Facebook Messenger is probably the best way since everybody has it. So one last thing tonight. What does a winner do but celebrate, right? So we've got a bottle of champagne here. So as we sign off tonight, I just want to celebrate a little bit. So hope everybody has a good night. We'll see you in a couple of weeks at Sonoma. Wow. That's weird. Have a good night, everybody.
See you guys.
Good night.